The Kent School District Board meetings are held in public on the second and fourth Wednesdays of the month at 7 p.m. at the Administration Center in accordance to the Washington State Open Public Meetings Act. Regular meetings include presentations and reports dealing with district operations, as well as time set aside for public comment. Now here are your Kent School District Board of Directors. Welcome to tonight's board meeting.
We're ready to go. Good evening. Welcome to our meeting. I'm going to invite our rock star from iGrad, Carol Cleveland, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, our flag salute. So please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Do we have Debbie up there? I see her.
I'm here.
Oh, good. President Strauss is in Missouri or Kansas?
Yes.
Yes. Right, she's with us, okay. And Director Hanscom is excused for tonight, so we'll proceed. This is a meeting of the board which is held in the public to comply with the Open Public Meetings Act. We allow opportunity for public comments later in the agenda. If you would like to address the board, fill out the blue card, looks like this, back of the room. And bring it up to the dais, just hand it up to one of us. If you'd like to speak to an agenda item, please indicate on the card that you would, and your name will be called at that portion of the agenda. So, and you'll have 3 minutes to speak. Dr. Possel, are there any changes to the agenda?
Yes, there are. Vice President DeBuehler, I'd like to note that a supplemental personnel report was added and a copy is at your seat, as well as a travel authorization was added to the consent agenda this afternoon, and Dr. Stedry will speak to this later on.
Good. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
So our first portion is on the recognition, and I have a proclamation to read. This is an Inclusive Schools Month. Whereas the Inclusive School Network announced the 14th Annual Inclusive Schools Week, the week of December 1st through the 5th, 2014, and whereas Inclusive Schools Week highlights and celebrates the progress schools have made in providing supportive and quality education to all students, including those who are marginalized due to disability, gender, ethnicity, geography, and language. And whereas the Kent School District is committed to providing an education in schools and classrooms that are welcoming and capable of educating all students. And whereas the educators of the Kent School District recognize that each child is unique, learns differently, and therefore learns better if teaching is tailored to their abilities and interests. And whereas by their efforts to make our schools and classrooms high-performing and inclusive, the educators and families of the Kent School District have contributed significantly to building a stronger and more inclusive school community. And whereas Inclusive Schools Week provides an opportunity for educators, students, and families to ensure that schools continue to improve their ability to successfully educate all children. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Directors of the Kent School District recognize December 1st through 5th, 2014 as Inclusive Schools Week and proclaims December 2014 as Inclusive Schools Month in the Kent School District and urges all citizens to join in that observance. And I'd like to invite Matt Patterson to come up and accept this.
We do have several staff and parents here this evening to support our Inclusive Schools endeavor.
Right. So you want to invite them up and introduce them, or?
You know, there's plenty, so any inclusive education staff and parents, please do stand up to be recognized.
And we have just one photo to take tonight, and this is it. So, is that right? No. Okay, but are we going to do this one first. Okay, this group first. So if you want to come on over, parents, teachers, Matt, everybody over to the...
Perfect.
Our next portion is on new administrators. So Dr. Beeman, if you would come up and introduce some of our new people.
President Strauss, Vice President Bueller, members of the board, Dr. Apostle. This is always a favorite time of the agenda for me when we get to bring forward for your introduction our new administrators. We have a little bit of twist this evening. The individuals that we're going to introduce to you this evening are not new. You are going to recognize their faces. But we've had some unique opportunities to welcome some friends back to the Kent School District, as well as to promote some of our administrators who have been doing some outstanding work. So it is with that pleasure that we want to make their introduction to you this evening. And I'm going to ask Luann Decker to please come forward and introduce some folks from her division.
I would first like to welcome a very familiar face for each of you, is because she's provided leadership in the Student Services Department for a little over the last year and a half or so. I'd like to welcome Dr. Millicent Bourget up here with me. I was so excited just about 3 weeks ago now that she's been in the position, moving from assistant director in her PASA position to support our family outreach and all our families that are in our Kent School District, to really support also building principals. And so she moved into a school improvement officer position, and as an SIO, she will be supervising and supporting half of our elementary schools is her assignment, and she is absolutely the perfect person for the position. We're so excited to have her leadership, not just her parent outreach and support leadership, but also in her previous position prior to coming to Kent, she was a turnaround principal, an instructional leader, and that is the kind of support and leadership we need in that position. So she is absolutely the perfect person for this job, and I'd like her to say just a few words.
Thank you. President Strauss, members of the board, Dr. Apostle, I just want to thank you for this opportunity. Relocating from Chicago to Kent has been a very emotional piece for me, in that my parents were immigrants and relocated from West Africa. And so having the opportunity to come and serve as an assistant director for PASA, and then transitioning into a role that I'm very familiar with in helping principals in terms of that crosswalk between family engagement and student achievement, has been a very exciting opportunity, and I'd just like to thank you.
The next person I would like to have come up and join me is Dr. Brian Patrick. I'm real excited to bring Dr. Patrick actually back to you, and I feel like this is his maybe second or third formal introduction to the board, because he has actually, just in his very short period of time in the Kent School District, already worn just a couple of hats for us, and done just fabulous in both of the leadership positions. As you'll probably recall, the day before school started, we asked him to go down and open Kent Elementary School for us. And as we were kind of making some adjustments and moving leadership and bringing that principal up here, he did amazing. He jumped right in there, worked with that staff, and provided the leadership in his interim principal position to get us through that first few months of school. And he just jumped right in and started that very first day. And when the next person, who's being introduced in just a couple minutes here, and we had another opportunity, and we had another open principal position, we didn't have to look far to think about, okay, who is the one person we have in this organization that could come and fill another interim principal position for us at East Hill. And so Dr. Patrick was able to do that. And just like before, he is really showing a pattern of being able to jump right in, get to know staff, get to know families. And we know that is really, and provide instructional leadership. And we know that is kind of that three-prong of that principal position that we need out of our building leadership. And so I'm so excited to bring Dr. Patrick back to you.
Thank you, President Strauss, members of the board, Dr. Apostle. It's actually the third elementary school I've been to in the Kent School District because I'm a proud graduate of Fairwood Elementary, Meeker Junior High, and Kentridge High School. My father actually opened Fairwood Elementary School as the principal in 1969 and served the Kent School District his whole life. And I think that Gary would be smiling today to see that I have come from being a research geologist and then a high school principal, then a middle school dean of students to now elementary principal, from grad school to preschool. I'm very excited. I'm very excited to serve and very, very proud to be a Blazer Bee. Thank you.
The third person I have the opportunity to introduce is Dr. Rosa Villarreal. If she can come up, please. She is also a very familiar face. Just up until this fall, she was providing amazing instructional leadership and program leadership in our multilingual education programs. Really, I think as I think back, even though I wasn't here, but I can tell you her legacy certainly exists already within the Kent School District. She is primarily responsible for the development and sustainability of our dual language program as we have it right now. And regardless of which position she is holding, I think that is really going to be part of her legacy and something she is having just a tremendous impact year after year on groups of kids that are coming through that program in a real sustainable fashion. So that is something that regardless of the position that she's in, I know will always be something that we'll think about her as part of her leadership. And just a few months ago when we had the opportunity to open up the Kent Elementary position, she was one that applied, and it became really quickly apparent that she was very much the best candidate for the position. And so I think she brings her expertise in multilingual education, her expertise in instructional leadership, her expertise in parent outreach and programs, and she brings that right into the principalship. And you don't get those qualities all in one person very often, providing a leadership in a principal position. And so I'm so excited to have her back in Kent and part of our team.
Hello, Vice President DeBruler, members of the board, Dr. Apostle. Thank you so much for having me back. I'm so excited to be at Kent. The staff, the students, the parents are amazing. And I think we're off to a great start. I welcome all of you to the campus at any time. So please join us and see our successes.
We're happy to have you back.
At this time, Dr. Linda Del Giudice will introduce a member of her team.
Thank you, Dr. Beeman. Good evening, Vice President DeBruler, members of the board, Dr. Apostle, and ladies and gentlemen. This evening, it's my pleasure to introduce the newest member of the Student and Family Support Services family. I'd like to ask Daksha Thomas to come and join me. We have stolen Daksha from her very successful position as principal of East Hill Elementary School. Daksha was the light over there at that school, and I know she's being replaced by another capable person with Mr. Brian Patrick taking her place. But we're so delighted to have Daksha, who's been appointed the Director for Parent and Family Services here for family engagement for Kent School District. She brings a rich background of working with parents. She's very excited about the things that she's doing for us now in Student and Family Services, and I'd like to ask her to say a few words. Daksha.
Good evening, Vice President DeBruler, members of the board, Dr. Apostle, Ms. Everett. I wanted to start off by introducing my family since they're here. My very proud and hardworking parents right there. And you can stand up, yes. And my husband and 2 kids are here. I wanted to introduce them because they made a special point to come out here tonight, and I'm honored to be the Director of Student and Family and Community Services. This is work that is very near and dear to my heart. It is work that I'm very passionate about. As a first-generation immigrant from India, I've seen the struggles my family, my parents in particular, have faced in navigating the education system, and so my work, especially with PASA, relates very much to that, and I'm able to have that perspective and very, wholeheartedly in an authentic way work with the families, the recruiters, the site coordinators and facilitators for the program. I want to thank you for this opportunity. I think we're going to do great things together. As I listen to the feedback that I'm getting from the different schools and parents and families, I know that the work will evolve and it's going to become better and better as time goes on. So thank you for the opportunity.
Doctor, would you introduce your husband and children?
I did, and they didn't want to stand up. My husband, Dinesh, and my kids, Seth and Diaz. They go through the Kent School District. Thank you. Thank you very much.
That concludes our introductions for this evening, and I believe we had a photo opportunity for you.
We do. Okay. So. Next on the agenda is our Safety Services Monthly Update. Does anybody have any questions or comments? Our Kasner and Supervisor Kovich.
President Strauss, members of the board, Dr. Possel. They're open for questions.
I know I've asked this before, and I'm looking at the readout on the monthly trends with the bar graph. But at the first number on the top is the number of incidents that happened, and then there are two other things below it. The next one is all the suspects that were involved.
Correct.
Is that right? And then the one below it says unique suspects. Does that mean this is the first time they've been involved? I didn't know these are the ones that have been involved before, or these are the first ones. This is the first time they've been involved.
So sometimes you will see that number there actually be lower than the number on top, meaning that we have repeats if the number is higher on the number above, and so the unique is individual persons, so it's just separated individual.
Okay, good. Try to remember that.
And maybe we can put a legend on there.
A legend? Yeah. Sure.
Yeah. Anybody have any questions? Debbie, do you have any questions? Or comments?
No, I'm good.
Good.
I have a couple of questions. I wanted to ask, I don't know, Tuan's not here, but I wanted to ask about the volunteer fingerprinting. If the building is paying for that, or if the district is paying for that?
My understanding is that our office organizes the budget, and we are actually paying that at the district level, not having that encumbered at the building level. Okay. So it is handled at the district level.
Is that a new policy? Because I think that word hasn't gotten out.
That is relatively new.
Okay.
This is, I believe, going on our second year now that we are managing that.
Okay, great, thank you. And also I wanted to ask about a centralized system for volunteers. We have a volunteer website, and it seems like we have a myriad of databases, and some people have talked about what's going on in Mill Creek, that they'd like to see that Access database replicated, because it seems that volunteers have to go through this process multiple times. So is there a way to track if they've already gone through the fingerprinting process? Or
I have some answers, but not all to that, because there are a lot of other pieces in that at the school level and some other departments. But what I am aware of, so once someone is fingerprinted and they have their physical prints, that is retained at the school in which they are at. And each year they only then need to, if they're coming back to volunteer, just get what we call as a watch, which is a state-driven background check. So they do not have to go through that whole process. It's just more of a name search, and it's relatively simple.
Okay.
Now, if they have a 1-year break at that time, that's when they have to go back and get their hard prints done again and sent into Washington.
1 year break, okay. And then also, just wanted to ask about the assaults happening at the Meridian Middle. I guess for me, this breaking down by school level has been really helpful. So thank you for doing that. But I keep wondering, you know, are there others who are looking at that data, kind of monitoring, you know, what is it that we can do to provide additional resources to address some of this? Or?
That back with the resources and addressing behavior after the events and ongoing, I'd have to defer back over to Linda Del Giudice's staff in that type of a department, but I believe it is. So.
Yeah.
I would say that Randy Heath, who's our executive director, monitors all of the students who are suspended or emergency expelled for behaviors like that. We're tracking the numbers, watching for trends, and Randy could probably give you more information, but he's in contact with the principals on a regular basis concerning the individual students.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
so much.
Thank you.
We have Dr. Del Giudice heading toward the podium. We're going to be talking on the Race to the Top update.
Are there any questions about the report?
Go ahead, Maya, if you're ready. I'm still pulling it up here to see.
I'm going to try and consolidate it. I have a bunch of questions. And if it's better, easier for me to just write it down and send it to you, I can do that too.
That might be more efficient.
Because some of this, I think you might be able to explain. I'm not sure. But I wanted to ask about, I don't know if Stosh is here, wanted to ask about the data system. You know, it talked about health, social, family, history. That could be really powerful to see within the 7 school systems. And I'm wondering, you know, if some of this, the information we discussed last week regarding bullying and discipline and disproportionality, all of that would be captured in the database also, so that it's already in some sort of a centralized system.
This project is just starting to roll through now through the region. So if Stosh would come up, perhaps he can address it.
Good evening, members of the board, Dr. Apostle. In response to your question about the project and the data transfer system, Project 2 allows for a data transfer system to be built that will move data between the districts. The primary objective behind that project is to allow data when a student first comes into one of our districts, of the 7 roadmap districts, and they are coming from one of the other districts. We want data to come in as quickly as possible that already exists in that district. And the type of data we're talking about is where a student comes in, we get to know the student, we start doing our normal assessments, and then we realize that that student needs interventions. And so it may be that that student was already getting those interventions in the previous district, and so there's now this gap where they've missed out on those services. If we move that data in immediately, we can start doing those same interventions immediately so the student benefits from that. So the type of data that we're looking at is that type of data initially, and the type of data that is in what's called the CEDARS report that we currently send to OSPI, just to more efficiently move that data between those districts. As this project proves successful, it would be expanded. It could be expanded to other districts in the state. As far as this particular data, it would be a question of whether that data is tracked in that district and whether or not we can move that in. But right now, it's not one of the specific pieces of data that I've heard mentioned in that project. But the point of the project is to pave the way to move any data that would be appropriate between districts.
Okay. Thank you. Some of this I can skip because I think the Naviance we're still working on. Is that right?
Dr. Hong is here, and he could answer questions concerning Naviance.
Okay. I just wanted to ask, Project 4 talked about the K-8 personalized STEM learning, and also Project 5 is the Naviance. And I'm just wondering if those two are integrated. I know we talked about a STEAM model with CTE, and it just seems like there are so many different projects that could be interrelated.
10 projects altogether, 10 funding streams. Project 4, Rafael Gallardo would be the person to address that. He's not with us this evening, but he's shared with me that they're working on digital STEM tools with that money, and they're looking at expanding and supporting the spatial temporal math that's going on in our elementary schools, because they feel that the research base on that product provides a foundation for early algebraic reasoning for the kids. So they learn math from the inside out, not just in a rote way, but the theory behind it. And they can get those concepts through ST Math. Raphael, if you'd like more detailed information, I'm sure if you'd like to write your question out, I'll get that for you. Yeah. And then on the Naviance?
We just received approval for funding on that, and so we're working through in terms of how to tap into the funding source. And that pays for pretty much about 5 to 10 staff per building to be trained on the software.
Okay. We did authorize several $100,000 for the software itself. So this is just for the training?
Yes. Race to Top project number 5 just supports the training piece, but we've actually purchased 2 years worth of software, and it's in rollout. We just completed the phase 1, which was introduction to Naviance with the 7 schools that are participating currently. And then phase 2 will come out sometime after second semester. We've individualized all of the training to each building, and so each building will be at a slightly different place. But by end of the year, everyone should be at about the same place, which is opening of Family Connections, which really is a tool that students and families can have access to start looking at college and career planning and readiness piece.
So that is integrated into STEAM, or we're not there yet? The CTE?
No, Naviance is really a separate product at this point to help prepare the students with their college-going aspirations, and it's a standalone in the counseling and guidance area.
Okay, so the only other question I had was on the East Hill Partnership. I wanted to know if the STEAM grant is just for Millennium and Pine Tree? Or
it is at this point. The STEAM grant was a joint project that Dr. Boris worked on with Mr. Heath and myself and others, and that is a project that's funded to provide after-school activities at the Birch Creek Housing Complex. It's done in partnership with the King County Housing Authority, and we're going to be employing a math and science specialist there to do STEAM activities there after school for the kids, starting with 4th grade, and hopefully phasing it up over the years so that we can build an exciting after-school program for those students, 4th, 5th, and 6th grade, and then carry those activities and information about those activities back to their elementary science teachers, so we can strengthen the next generation science standards activities at the schools through what's developed as hands-on learning there at the Birch Creek with this grant money. It's just the first year.
Can I bring up that issue that I think only 20% of our kids are being served at Birch Creek versus the other 80% who are in the apartment complexes there. So I'm just hoping that we're going to kind of look at, when we're expanding it, not just grade level wise, but across the East Hill area, because it's called the East Hill Partnership, but it really doesn't cover all of those apartments that are feeding into Millennium and Pine Tree.
I do understand, and as we work with the Gates Foundation to develop this project and get it off the ground, we'll keep the board apprised of our progress.
Thank you.
I really appreciate just the little synopsis on each one of the projects. That really is clear. It makes it a lot clearer to me what's going on with Race to the Top and Roadmap. Deb, do you have any questions, comments?
No, I just just wanted to make a comment. I'm that I did, like you said, Karen, I did appreciate how that was all laid out, and also all the work that's going into this from our district as well on these different projects, because a lot of them, as I understand them, are ones where we have to put in, this is what we're going to do, and it's awards that are granted to our district. So I appreciate all the work that's going into that. So thank you.
I thank Dr. Minkler in absentia for putting the pencil to the paper and writing this report for us, also for the work that she's done with staff to bring in the competitive grants that form the partnership part of this program.
Thank you, Linda. Next portion is discussion and/or approval. First, 4.03 is engagement of commercial real estate agent or brokers. The action required is we need a motion to approve the engagement of W.E. Ruth Real Estate Firm as the real estate agent and broker for the Plemons, Scarcella, and South King County Activity Center properties, and Orion Commercial Partner, as the real estate agent broker for the Old Panther Lake Elementary School property. So looking for a motion.
I move.
You really want to repeat all of
yes.
that?
I move that we do what you said.
I like that.
We have a second? All right, second. So do we have any discussion or questions?
Well, I just had a couple comments. I was just really pleased that we're progressing with the Old Panther Lake and getting the approval from all the relatives, heirs, yes, and I really appreciate the persistence of staff and working on this, and we definitely have to have the big celebration when it's all done. And then also I was going to share for the audience too, that's just sort of one step in the process that we've been going through of looking at the property that we don't think would be valuable as property to the district in the future, and this is just the next step in the process.
Great, thank you. Deb, anything?
I'm good.
Okay. So I'm going to call for the vote. All those in favor of, oh, do I have to say it again? The engagement of W. Ruth Real Estate Firm and the engagement of Orion Commercial Partners to further our sale of our properties. Say aye.
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 All those opposed? All right, motion passes. Next item is the establishment of the Kent Ridge High School stage floor replacement project from the 2006 bond issue. So we need a motion to establish the budget of $17,500 for the Kent Ridge High School stage floor replacement from the 2006 bond issue contingency.
I so move that.
I'll second it.
Okay, so motion is moved and seconded. Any discussion or questions?
No.
No.
We don't want any of those singers and dancers falling through. So calling for the vote. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? All right, motion passes. Third item is the Millennium Elementary utility easement. I need a motion to approve the utility easement from the City of Kent for the pressure reducing valve.
I move that we approve the utility easement from the City of Kent for this purpose.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion or questions?
No, I looked and it looked like it was a really small piece of our property, and it seemed like it was a necessary thing to do to make the property work well for us.
Right. All right. Deb, anything?
I agree.
All right. So all those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 All those opposed? Okay, motion passes. On to the consent agenda. Do we have any consent items to pull for discussion?
Yes, I did. So let's see.
Which one?
5.10. And then the ones related to I just had some questions about the iGrad curriculum, about the process. So I guess that would be 5.13, 5.14, and 5.15. 13, 14. All right. Any others?
I'm good.
Okay. So we're going to, let's see. We need a motion to approve the consent agenda minus 5.10, 5.13, 5.14, and 5.15.
So I move to approve the consent agenda minus those items.
Right. Thank you.
I'll second.
All right. So all those in favor of approving the consent agenda minus 5.10, 5.13, 5.14, and 5.15 say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? All right, good. So do you want to speak to your
5.10? Yes, I just asked that to be pulled out for the purposes of recusing myself from the decision on that one. The reason being that those are federal funds that are through Schools Out Washington, and they're from the Administration for Children and Families Office of Refugee Resettlement, and I work for the Administration of Children and Families Office of Child Care, so I didn't want to be involved in that decision.
Okay. Anything else on that one? Okay, how about 5.13?
Oh, so 5.13, 14, and 15 are regarding new online courses for iGrad, and I was excited that we're getting new courses because it looked like the students really needed more diversity of coursework that would meet their needs and prepare them. So I just wanted a little more clarification about the process for approval of the curriculum, and in particular on the form, like there was places where it said like all signatures must be there, and there weren't all the signatures there, so.
I'm going to start answering your questions and then turn it over to Dr. Hong and Ms. Cleveland for details. First, the curriculum that we've adopted for the most part is part of the software packages of Edgenuity and Apex that are pre-approved by OSPI for use in Washington schools. So we know that these courses for the most part are standards-based and they're rigorous and they're appropriate for our students. We've been using these online courses. We're into year 3 now, and this is expanding the use of the package that we've already been utilizing with the kids. So that's where I would start. And then for the process, because we wanted to make sure that as we expand our use, we get more input, Dr. Hong worked with curriculum and instruction staff and Ms. Cleveland and also some of the instructional technology folks to put together an expanded approval process. I'm going to ask Eric to come up and Carol to come up and answer your questions directly. And Ann Valenzulo, absolutely. Thank you. Is there anyone else?
Good evening, President Strauss, Vice President DeBruler, members of the board, and Dr. Apostle and Kathy. It's great to see you tonight. And so I would say that iGrad is in need of expanding the course variety for students. I have the opportunity to take the students out for lunch and discussion on the 4th Tuesday of each month, and they have continuously requested that we have courses that would be of higher interest to them and, of course, rigorous and something that they could, some skills that they could learn and take away and use in the real world in preparation for being college and career ready. And so there were a number of courses we've looked at. Some of the courses are in line with what is needed to transition students more smoothly to the Green River pathways. Some of the courses are in line with some of our accountability measures in preparation for work readiness. And so we had the opportunity to take a look at some of the curriculum, the software products that we're using and currently paying for the curriculum for, as well as we designed one of them. Actually, I had a CTA endorsed teacher design the work readiness piece in Moodle. And then we also have a number of partnerships with outside agencies that come in, like Seattle Jobs Initiative. We have a weekly financial literacy courses by Wells Fargo, et cetera. So we'll be integrating some of those skills inside of the work readiness class. So it'd be part live, part online. So kind of a blended learning online, but that is a Moodle-based course that was built, which is a platform used for Washington State history as well. So we had the opportunity to take a look at more courses in line with what the students requested and in line with what iGrad was charged and held accountable for. And we actually selected about 24. And so in addition to selecting 24 courses, they were all crossed with the current course catalog. And so we looked at the description of the courses that are aligned with Common Core in the software, crossed it with the Kent School District catalog course descriptions, and made some proposals regarding that. And we went through an ILST approval process And I know that you probably got the 6-page packets for each of the courses. And then somewhere there's a course description and the alignment and what software platforms are in. And then I prioritized the courses because there really were about 25. And so you probably tonight maybe discussing a portion of of some of them. And we're here today to, well, I'm here today, and so are the others. This has been a team process. Actually, that started before Greg Whiteman left, and I'd be willing to answer any questions that you may have.
The only other question I had was, once we purchase these, are they available for other schools to use as appropriate?
Well, they're already purchased.
Okay.
However, I'm only seeking permission for the use, for its use at iGrad. Okay. Anything outside of that, you know, will be in the hands of others.
And would that cost us more if others wanted to use them, or?
Yes, it is licensed purchase. For the Apex, I cut POs for about $100 per seat. However, that seat is good for an entire year. So once a student fulfills the commitments of the seat, I can continue to put other students in the seat. I'm not quite sure. I can't remember the cost on the Edgenuity piece. The cool thing about the Edgenuity is they bought out Giant Campus last summer. And so, and Giant Campus have a lot of the occupational education type courses in it. And because the 1418 school, our open door school, is not funded for CTE, we are funded for voc classes, for college level courses 101 and above only, so that you can only get that VOTEC skill support off-site. And so I've had to get a little bit creative in meeting the occupational educational needs of the students for those who are not interested in going off-site. And so having shared that work readiness course has the CTA exploratory prongs 3 and 4 embedded in it for work readiness and how to apply for jobs and 21st century skills and teamwork, collaboration. We'll probably do some site visits to businesses, et cetera. So lost my train of thought, but.
Well, thank you for all the information.
Yeah. When I was reading over these courses yesterday, it just made me smile, thinking what a great variety and expansion for these kids. I'm particularly pleased with the financial literacy and the mathematics of personal finance and the college and career preparation classes. I think, the courses, I think that's just going to be, they're all just great. I think the kids are really going to appreciate the wider variety that they have. I had one question. It's for the kids. If there are kids who are special ed and are being challenged by some of these, you said it's a one-on-one, there's a one-on-one opportunity for them. Is that, how would that work out? How does that work out?
Well, for students with special needs, we actually have a special education teacher there full-time. And we just so happens we have I would say a maximum 1 in 25 ratio. At this point, I would say sometimes it's 2 and 3 in 25. So, but by design, though, each student gets a one-to-one walkthrough regarding whatever they're struggling with at that moment in time in their hand-selected course, because they get to handpick their course sequence. We just tell them this is what you need, and so we do pre-assess kids for each unit up front, and so if they are struggling along the way, they either have to ask for help or we have parameters set where they get blocks on the account where they're forced to get help. They can't move further, so they're inviting us to get in their business if they don't come and see us anyway. So I would say that we can address the needs of students with special needs and a lot of the strategies that are needed to address it, like building background knowledge and looking at the academic vocabulary. All kids need that for the most part. And so we do have an English language learner teacher there as well. And so those teachers are supplementing or in addition to the highly qualified classroom teacher that's already in the room. So they are getting all one-to-one supports.
Thank you. Deb, any questions, comments?
No, I appreciate it, but just a point of clarification, we'll need to vote on 5.10 different, separate than the others.
All right, thank you.
just have one question, maybe to Dr. Hong. I know we're on the Education Committee for the Chamber, and I wondered if we could look at those internships that was discussed, the 25 per high school, include iGrad in that, and I don't know.
We jumped on it.
Okay.
I would say that I was hoping we could generate more. We were able to submit 5 applications. Okay, right. But outside of that, we'll be looking at internships with the City of Kent this summer, as well as some other things. So we're trying to grow that need. We do have that need, but you know, the unpaid versus paid. We do have work-based learning as well at iGrad. There is someone that goes out on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays to the job work sites. So, but we're continuing to take a look at expanding those career skills.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
All right. So, we need to vote on 510, which is the renewal of the Schools Out Washington grant for refugee support. We need a motion for that.
Also move.
Thank you.
I'll second it.
All right. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? And you're abstaining. 1 abstention. Okay, good. And then 513, 514, and 515 are the new courses for iGrad.
So I move that we approve those new courses for iGrad in 5.13, 14, and 15.
I'll second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to approve the iGrad courses, no iGrad courses. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed? Great, that is passing, so it's great, thank you. We're moving now to the communication portion of our
Informational.
information. Oops. Hang on. Oh, I'm numbered wrong here. Sorry. All right. The information. All right. So, general fund object expenditure summary report. Do we have any questions or comments on that?
Well, I'll just comment that it was very helpful, and I particularly appreciated some of the notes explaining things, and it was, I appreciate it. Thank you.
I think Dr. Steddery offered this to go into the community to explain this. We may take you up on it, because I think there are a lot of people out there looking at it. No. Yeah, thank you.
All right. Anything else on that one? Okay. And 6 point. All right. Is the October 2014 financial statement. Any comments or questions on that one?
No.
No.
Okay, it's not even going to be downloaded yet. There it is. Oh. Yeah, again, I appreciate the detail that goes into this, and is that Ralph, mostly? You, all right. Thank you, Mr. Fortunato. Appreciate your effort. Any comments on that? No comments? Questions? Okay. All right. So now we're going to move into the communication section. Is that right? Am I in the right place? We have one card up here. Bill Sterling.
Oh, there's more.
Oh, go ahead and bring those up here. Thanks.
Well, thank you for the opportunity to talk to you. My daughter's a student at the Cedar Heights Middle School. She's in 8th grade. She's been having a little trouble with algebra, and so I told her, don't worry about it. I'll sit down and help you work with it. The problem is I learned algebra starting in 1960, and since that time, I don't know how many iterations of algebra education have taken place, but it seems like every few years, somebody comes up with a better way to teach it. And frankly, I don't have a problem with that. If somebody truly comes up with a better way to teach it, then have at it. The problem is that when I sit with her, I can get her to the right answer but not the way her teacher wants to get there. And again, I'm okay with that. So I tell her, just bring your book home, we'll work with it. I'll help you. Your mom, who's an engineer, she'll help you. Oh, we don't have any books. We don't have any books. We don't have any books because they put the wrong one on our computer and we can't have any books. So I knew that was wrong. So I went up to Cedar Heights a couple of days ago and talked to Principal Maurer. I said, is this true? And she said, well, no, I've not heard anything about that, but let's check with the head of the math department just to be sure. So she called him, and although she was across the counter from me and had the phone up to her ear, I could hear the frustration in his voice when he said that, yes, it's a problem. It's been a problem for more than 2 years. The district's known about it, and they won't do anything about it. So what I'm seeing is that you guys have put a blockade in my daughter's road to a good education by not providing her with the book that she needs to learn whatever it is, in this case, algebra. There may be other books that they're not able to get to, I don't know. Before retiring, I was a director of quality for a large Japanese company. And they, at that time, were all about quality and quality improvement. Followed the teachings of Dr. R. Edwards Deming. I don't know if you've heard of him or not, but he's the reason that we, for many, many years, bought only Japanese products is because they were better than ours because of Dr. Deming's teachings. Well, one of the things I learned from him and learned from doing this job is that more often than not, the best solution to a problem is also the most obvious and easiest solution. Regardless of how many corporate study groups to get together, no matter how many focus groups you get together, still the best solution is the easiest one and the most obvious one. Well, I see two obvious solutions to this problem. One of them is just load the proper book on their computers. The other issue, the other solution would be just go ahead and switch to the book that's already on their computers and let them use that, because surely it's still a certified book. When I asked about that, here's what I discovered. It's the same book. It's just a one generation older book. But they still won't allow them to use it. My wife's best friend from grad school is a physician in Alabama. We were down seeing her at Thanksgiving, and she was talking about the poor school districts in Alabama and Mississippi that hold fundraisers, get enough money to buy their kids books. But they do it. And here I come back to this school district, a fairly well-funded school district. And we have kids out there that don't have books. If I were sitting up there, I'd be embarrassed about that problem. I'd be embarrassed that it's been going on for 2 years and nothing's been done about it. And I know you're not going to solve the problem tonight, but I certainly hope you solve it very quickly so that before the end of the school year, these kids have books that they can take home and their parents can help them. I hear a lot of complaints from teachers, oh, the parents don't want to get involved in their kids' education, they just leave it up to us. Well, we want to get involved in our daughter's education, and I'll tell you right now, in our house, C is not a passing grade. A's and B's are passing grade, but not C. But how's she going to accomplish that if you don't give her a book to learn from?
Thank you, Mr. Shirley. Next up is Ron Webb.
Hi, members of the board and Dr. Apostle. My name is Ron Webb, and I teach at Kent Lake High School in Inclusive Education. And as this is Inclusive Education Month in the Kent School District, we heard that proclamation earlier, I wanted to take a moment to talk about some very meaningful and hard work that a committee involved in special education and inclusive education have been working on for the past 2 school years. Administrators in inclusive education, as well as parents, high school teachers, and teachers from the outreach program have been working together, visiting and assessing really honest to goodness, good working examples of transition programs and settings in outlying school districts around the Puget Sound. School districts that are much smaller than ours, but have transition programs that include all students past their senior year that still need specially designed instruction. Currently in the Kent School District, our model is a little different than that. And there are many students that are beyond their senior year that remain in the high school for 2 or 3 years, receiving specially designed instruction. that is aligned to academics, as it should be because it's a high school setting, while students in the outreach program receive instruction on adaptive skills that are more aligned to vocational skills and vocational training for post-secondary goals and post-secondary life. So the work that this committee has done, you'll be hearing some of it in the next month or so. I just want to kind of give a shout out to really pay attention to the report, look at the work that was done, and see what can be done to include all students in transition programs and transition learning. Thank you.
Next up, Lisa Visitation. Did I slaughter it?
My name is Lisa Okada Visitacion. My husband and I have twin daughters with disabilities. They are currently seniors and receive special education at Kent Ridge High School. We have been excited for the next chapter of their education in the Kent School District, which is the Transition Outreach Program, or TOP. Our understanding of transition services, according to the Washington Administrative Code, or WAC, is that a transition program facilitates a special education student's movement from school to post-school activities. Based on the goals and needs of a student, this may mean vocational education, supported employment, independent living, and community participation, among other things. However, for one of our daughters, we understand that she and a number of other students do not meet the criteria to attend TOP upon completing high school. The only option for them in the Kent School District is to remain in high school until they age out of special education at 21. Remaining in high school for three more years, for a total of 7, presents a number of issues and concerns, which include current high school staffing and environments are not conducive or appropriate to adequately meet students' needs past their senior year. The needs and goals of these students are very different than those of a student in high school. Not having the targeted structure, information, resources, and activities to successfully meet post-school adult living objectives. We applaud the teachers and the Inclusive Education Administration for working collaboratively and in partnership with parents and the community to expand the transition program. With an expanded TOP, we see both of our daughters able to build upon their skills and potentially discover a job they are really good at. We see both of our daughters have the opportunities and resources to prepare for the day that the bus no longer picks them up. We hope that this effort receives priority and attention to ensure that all students eligible for special education receive appropriate transition services that adequately prepare them for life upon exiting the school system. Thank you.
Thank you. That's the last card. So we're moving on to the superintendent report. Dr. Apostle?
Sure. Vice President DeBruler, members of the board and audience, there are several activities taking place over the next few weeks. Some things I'd like to bring to your attention. The highly acclaimed PASA graduation is taking place next Tuesday, December 16th at 6 p.m. at the Kent Meridian Gym. All board members were invited, and Maya is planning to attend, I understand. That's great. Let me know tonight, if possible, if you plan to be there, and if you would like to say a few words. And if you do, please plan to arrive a little early, since the ceremony will begin promptly at 6 p.m., and they expect a huge crowd. At the same night, however, the Certified Nursing Assistant Graduation and Pinning Program is taking place for the Certified Nursing Assistant Graduation Program at Kent Lake Library. All the board, entire board, is invited to be there. Please RSVP for you if you plan to attend, and let Kathy know if you will. The Administrative Center Holiday Potluck is taking place. Please know that you're invited to join us for the Holiday Potluck on Wednesday, December 17th from 11:30 to 1:30 here in the boardroom. A committee has been meeting and planning since last week, and it is always a fun time for everyone. And I am bringing chicken. Okay. Strategic planning update. has been in communication with the facilitator, Judy Phillips, to determine a date in February to convene the Strategic Planning Committee. I know the board would like to have the Strategic Planning Committee meet early in February rather than later in February. Once the date is confirmed, we're suggesting February 5th. Letters will be sent to all the members. There's an open house for substitute teacher candidates, and it's scheduled for tomorrow from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. in the Human Resources Department. An announcement was sent to staff last week. This is just another example of our ongoing efforts to respond to the shortage of substitute teachers. Future planning here. Kent Phoenix Academy winter graduation is on January 29th at 7 p.m. in the main gym. And we hope that all of you can be there for the winter graduation. That's it for now.
All right, thank you, Dr. Postle. Maya, do you have things you want to add?
Okay, I have a number of things. So first I wanted to mention I had a meeting with our board intern to go over her research on levy lit and levy equalization our policies, and she has several recommendations, and Russ is not here, but I just want to thank him for, it was just a great idea to have her here, because her research is now being studied by several different education advocacy groups. So it's almost as if we initiated something great that others are tapping into. So Dr. Stedry and financial folks, thank you for hosting her and giving her that opportunity. I also wanted to mention I was at the WASDA conference accepting the Board of Distinction Award this past several weeks ago, and I've written up a 8-page report on all my sessions that I attended and the recommendations therein, and I don't know if anybody takes a look at these things, but there are some really great recommendations that I got just from observing what other school districts are doing. And I think that was one of the common themes from the conference, is that how closely attentive our districts are in looking at best practices and promising practices in other districts. And so I came away with lots of great ideas that was discussed there, and so I hope you have an opportunity to take a look at that. It was passed on to superintendents. And then, let's see, I was with, I went to see PASA at work at KM the other night, and it was really very, very emotional. I was just taken aback by how eager our families are to get information, and just the conversations with the principal and how engaging Dr. Berenger, sorry. Dr. Berenger is with our families, and you know, it's just something that I think we need to continue to support and really value the opinions of our families. And I got a chance to hear from them about some of their difficulties, and hopefully those reports are going to be passed around to all of our administrators so that we can really have an idea of what are the barriers for our families. And then, let's see, it was at the Roadmap Networking meeting, and there was a nice tribute to Dr. Vargas and his accomplishments there, and also talked about a Cradle Through College Coalition that they introduced. And the main principle there is that the state investments must be made cradle through college, not K through 12. So as you know, we have a very difficult legislative session coming up. Billions of dollars need to be found, and so one of their principles will be to raise additional revenue. And so if you're in support of some of their principles, they're asking you to sign on to their coalition. And let's see, I was at dual language program at Scenic Hill yesterday, and I want to thank Principal Sandhu Fuller and Mrs. Palladino and Ms. Munoz. We had we had a class visit with the kids, and I just want to say then that when we look at our strategic planning process, that we really pay attention to some of these programs that are effective, and we support and expand some of these worthwhile programs. I think just seeing it in action, looking at the kindergartners master their technology and their language acquisition skills, I am so impressed that, you know, I hope we continue to get that excitement going throughout our school district. Okay, and then finally, I want to say that tomorrow marks my 1-year anniversary on the school board. And I just want to thank my fellow colleagues, Dr. Vargas, staff members, and of course our community for the support in electing me. And I have to say, every morning I wake up and I'm incredibly grateful to be a part of successfully preparing our kids. Thank you very much.
How can I follow that? Let's see, I also was at the WASDA conference. I was just able to be there one day and attended a legislative session that was really worthwhile. And I inquired about and found out that WASDA, the School Directors Association, is again going to have a weekly lunchtime on Fridays during the session, a call-in opportunity for legislative representatives like me. So I'll be able to participate in that and keep up to date and can keep you all up to date. Also at the conference, I enjoyed one of the keynoters and went to some of his sessions around the difference, the research showing the difference that positive thinking, relationships, and being goal-focused can make. So I'm trying to be better in all of those things. And then with getting ready for the legislative session, I and others have been busy in that area. So I want to commend the staff here, many staff in many different departments, for a very successful meeting and event for the House Education Committee. And it was, I was here all day for that, and it was very exciting seeing the House Education Committee members' interest in our programs, and they specifically wanted to know more about the programs that sort of really support the students, looking at the whole child and what other services do the students need. And we had presentations about the ELL endorsement partnership we have with Heritage, and about the PASA program, safety services, and we went and toured iGrad and toured Kent Meridian and looked at, you know, in-school suspension and other supports we have for students. And the House Education Chair specifically told me, because she'd been familiar, personally familiar in the past from the Kent School District and having grandchildren here, and she was just very, very impressed with all we've done in recent years to really address the needs of all of our students. And so, well done, everybody. And then in addition to that, Senator Kaiser came and toured iGrad and was interested in seeing that, and was impressed with what we're doing there. And she was particularly interested in hearing about the needs of homeless students that we have attending iGrad, and thinking about ways that she could help us more with meeting their needs. And then Dr. Apostle and I met with Senator Fain to learn a little bit more about the legislative upcoming session and tell him what our needs are. And then today, Vice President DeBruler and Dr. Apostle and I met with Representative Sullivan for the same purpose. And then I also wanted to let you all know, you've probably heard that the governor is going to be coming out with his budget proposals next week. And he's coming out with two. One would be if there's no new revenue, and it's going to be very dismal and terrible, and we would never want that. And then the second one would be if there's some, you know, new revenue possibilities, what his proposal would look like. And so I encourage everybody, it's a great opportunity to reach out to both the governor and to all your legislators, letting them know what you think the priorities are for funding and for funding for education. And specifically on Monday night, the governor is having 4 forums around the state where he's going to be speaking and sharing his education budget and policy priorities. And one of those is going to be in Tacoma and one in Bellevue. If you're interested, let me know. I will be out of town, so I won't be able to attend. And then lastly, I wanted to report on an upcoming event, and that's the University of Washington has an Executive Leadership Institute year-long that's focused on preschool through 3rd grade leadership and alignment, and equity is a big piece of that. And so I'm very excited that a team of 4 of us from the district are going to be participating in that. So it's myself and Paige Meyer and Alice Humphreys and Rachel Collins. And then that'll be starting in February, so I'll keep you updated on that too. That's my report.
Thank you. Well, I went to the roadmap project meeting last week as well as Maya did, and I stayed a little bit longer, and I just sort of tapped into some of the different functions and things that are going on there, and I just thought I'd like to share a couple of them. I was very excited about some of the things that might be possibilities for us. The partners in the Roadmap Coalition, and these are all basically outside of, well, almost all of them are outside of school, but one of them is called Reach Out and Read, and it's doctors and healthcare workers are trained, are given books and are trained to talk to parents as they come in with their children about books and reading the books and what reading books do, and it's not just one time, it's every time they come in they get a different book. So they say that they're now serving over 24,000 children in the 7 districts that we have here. 70% are low income, 60% children of color, and 36 with the home language other than English. There's another, on the other end of the spectrum, Opportunity Youth, it's called. It's aimed at youth that are 16 to 24 who've been disconnected from school. It's a re-engagement process. And it's a diverse, robust, coordinated system of re-engagement pathways, of which iGrad is one. But there are multiple around the area, the roadmap area. And the goal is to connect the existing programs to each other and to youth and to young adults, and with the progress toward college and career, and improving the supply of programs too, because not all the programs are the same. Not every program fits the same, not every kid is going to go into one program. So they want to make sure that they've got a program that is good for each and every student so that they can be re-engaged. Another one that I've heard of several times in the last couple times I've been at the roadmap meetings, it's called Daily Vroom. And it's a daily, what it is, it's an online daily brain building activity for parents to use with kids who are 0 to 5 years old. And you can put an app on your smartphone, and they're just things that you can say to talk to your children, one little thing each day, and just to get them to work on their brains. And it's free, and if we could promote it on our website or in elementary school newsletters. It's in English and Spanish at this point in time. So I just thought that was it's just a really easy thing to do, and it'd be something fun for the parents, and it would just get them in the idea of working with their kids. Another one is the University of Washington iLabs, Institute for Learning and Brain Sciences. They are and have developed a series of free online modules designed to share the latest in brain research and early development, and can be accessed through their website. And it, again, there are modules that people can watch and learn from, and this could, our parents could watch those. The last one that I thought was really possibly something that we could use after PASA, or with some of the people who are PASA graduates. It's the Parent-Child Home Program. It targets at-risk populations, including diverse array of ELL languages and low-income families. The community members are trained to go into homes and model reading with the children. And they're not teaching the parents, they're just reading to the children and having the parents see them reading and how they work with the kids. And the thing that I think is really great is that it could be from any one of our communities. It could be somebody from that community going into their homes from other people of their community, and they'd have that affinity, they'd understand. It wouldn't be somebody different coming in, it would be somebody that they would accept. The data shows that children who have received this service for a full 2 years enter kindergarten performing similarly to peers on a majority of the measures. The good news is that Children's Home Society already has this program going on for the grant, I think, from the United Way, and they'd be a great first connection for us. I know Rana Pop was mentioned several times in the talkings that I had with the Parent-Child Home Program and some of the other, and they said, oh yeah, yeah. So I'm really excited about some of these things. Some of them will be really easy to just put out there for parents and to say, have at it. So, Deb, how about you?
So first of all, I just want to, again, let the board know how much I appreciate all their involvement in different things. It's really exciting to watch the different things that you're involved in and what you're doing. And then I also wanted to extend an official welcome to Dr. Apostle. This was his first board meeting as our superintendent, so I did want to officially welcome him. So thank you again for being with us. Dr. Apostle already mentioned the strategic plan review coming up in February, so please watch for more information on that. And then also just a quick update on our superintendent search. We do have a website that's up now that does have information on it on what's happening. The survey has been extended as well, so I did send out an email to all staff. I believe it went out today, to just remind to please participate in those, because we do want input on as we collect information on the for the superintendent search. We will take all that information, will be presented back to the board at the very beginning of January, and then used to actually create our resume is not the right word, our job description for the new superintendent. And then just finally, since we won't have another board meeting before our holiday break, I just wanted to wish staff and fellow board members and everyone a very happy and safe holidays, and just let everyone know that I appreciate everything that you do to make sure that our children are successful in school. So thank you.
Thanks, Deb.
Thank you, Debbie.
All right, I was assuming we dragged you up here the last time, unbeknownst to you, so I thought, oh, you've already been here, so yeah, definitely welcome.
You fit right in. Yes.
All right, so with that, we are adjourned.
Bye, Debbie.
Bye,
Good
Debbie.
night.
Bye.
Come back from Kansas.
I will, hopefully.